What is up, football fans, UFL fans, but most importantly, Houston Roughnecks fans? Welcome to the Roughnecks Rundown. Things aren't great. I'm not going to sit here and sugarcoat it. It's pretty bleak, but there's still hope because our conference is not great. So there's still hope, and we'll get into that. But first, we got to talk about the loss. We got to just go over it real quick. You know, you have to reflect, and then you move on. So let's get into it.
I'm in the big leagues, told her don't miss me. Ballin' like Houston, ayy, feeling like Whitney. I need a bag, bruh, send it through quickly.
All right. Episode 33 of season 3 of the Roughnecks Rundown. So this episode, what are we going to talk about? We're going to talk about the loss. We are going to review the loss to the Birmingham Stallions. Rough game, absolutely rough game if you're the Stallions. Not if you're the Stallions, if you're the Roughnecks, if you're a Roughnecks fan. But we'll get into that. We're going to talk about the bad. What was bad about the game? Then we're going to talk about the good. Was there any good in the game? And then we're going to go over the depth chart for this week against the St. Louis Battlehawks. So a lot of our shows on the channel, you know, the Panthers show, the DC Defenders show, the Brahmas, all of our shows are like everybody's splitting into 2 episodes. You know, they're just following in my footsteps because I'm awesome. So I don't know. I'm a trendsetter. So they're splitting into 2 shows a week. All of our slots are like really full. So I'm just going to do 1 episode this week to encompass last week and this week against the Battlehawks. So let's review the loss. We lost 32-9. We didn't even break double digits. Is really tough. All around tough. Then we barely slowed them down. I put a picture of our kicker here for no apparent reason. But, I mean, in the first half, I believe they scored on every offensive drive that they had except one. They had a penalty and they had a hold on a big play where they were going to score. And it stopped them and they punted. So we didn't even slow them down. I mean, the only good thing about this game, really, I mean, we'll get into the good, and there were some good things. But the best part about the game was we wore these blue on blues. I think that's pretty sick. If we had worn blue socks with it, I think that would have been just one of the coolest things. But didn't slow them down. Game plan was tough. We lost Woody Brandom, who was our primary blocking tight end. So in 12 personnel, we would have had to use an extra offensive lineman or a wide receiver to try and be our primary blocking tight end because Braden Bowman, while he's a decent blocker, isn't a primary blocker. So we moved away from the run. We ran a total of maybe 12 times, including Reed Sinnott scrambling. So it wasn't good. We were hoping for 20 to 25 touches for this man right here, Mark Thompson. He got 4. The game plan fell apart. Once Woody Brandom got hurt, once we got down by like 2 touchdowns, man, the playbook, the play calling, it all just kind of fell apart. And yeah, when your game plan falls apart as soon as you go down, and if you lose one player, you got to reevaluate that, and you have to, create a new game plan. That cannot happen. You can't say, oh, we couldn't run 12 personnel anymore because our tight end went down, and so we're just not going to run the ball. That's not how professional football works. You got to be able to keep your whole playbook no matter who goes down. I understand we have the smaller rosters. We have the smaller depth chart, smaller roster size in the UFL, but still, come on. Then the last thing is they beat the soul out of us. I heard that, Monday practice, Sunday, dude, players weren't even like really talking to each other. Like they beat the soul out of us. They made us not even want to talk to each other. It's that big of a beatdown. They beat the soul out of us so bad, I didn't even change the picture here. It's still Ruben from my last episode. Tough one. But let's move on. What was the bad? Let's knock the bad out real quick, real early. Showed little life. We didn't show much life. 9 points. Didn't even break double digits. We scored a touchdown and kicked a field goal. Adrian Martinez had 138 rush yards against us. Wow. That is maybe the best rushing day that anybody's had this year. I don't know if I don't think anybody's rushed for more yards in a single game this season. So good job, Adrian. Woody Brandom out for season. That's a really tough one. Woody's a great guy. He's a really good player, a team player. when you're a blocking tight end, you do not get a lot of credit. So the fact that he goes out there and does that and he does it well, very impressive. He's out for the season. That is a brutal blow. Clint Sig, obviously going to fill in that role. And then they brought in AJ Lewis, a brand new tight end. He was eligible for the 2024 NFL draft. He decided to go into the UFL, not try to get into a rookie minicamp, all that stuff. So he's now on the team out of Alabama State. He's a primary blocking tight end. So they want to make sure that that doesn't happen again, that we're not going to be up a creek without a paddle. We don't have a blocking tight end. Then Mark had no touches. I already kind of got into that when we went over the loss. You can't break down. You can't say, oh, our best player didn't get enough touches because we lost the tight end. You still had Mark. Mark was still in the game. You know, halfback draws, counters, you know, even screens, something. We needed to get the ball in Mark Thompson's hands, and we didn't do that. He's 100% now. He needs to be running the ball. So, man, no touches. It was a tough one all around. A lot of bad. Now let's talk about the good. O-line looked good. This was the best game so far for the offensive line. Coach AG, Avery Genesee right there, longest tenured Houston Roughneck at this point. He had a good game. The whole offensive line, Cam Carter quietly should be on the all USFL midseason team. Cam Carter has consistently been a highly graded offensive guard, just looking very good. The offensive line only gave up, I believe, 2 sacks, and one of those you definitely put on Reed Sinnett because he held the ball for entirely too long. And this is a team that we played the Stallions, who got 9 sacks against the Memphis Showboats. Our offensive line had been being ranked behind the Memphis Showboats offensive line consistently the entire season, and then we held them to 2 sacks over the entire game. Our offensive line looked good against the Birmingham Stallions, which is something that we can build on. The offensive line is very important. If they start to play better, our overall play could be better, so that's good. Offense had moments. Reed Sinnett, honestly, not his fault. Yesterday, we shot polar opposites. Webb said, if you could have Troy Williams on your team, would you take him over Reed Sinnett? I said, no. Reed is not the problem. The wide receivers are not the problem. We had no run game. This weekend specifically, all the teams who won were able to run the ball and run it well. They ran it down their throat. By the fourth quarter, it really was that the other team was beaten down. They didn't want to tackle. They didn't want to tackle Wes Hills. They didn't want to tackle John Lovett. They didn't want to tackle Wayne Gallman and Jalen Sailors. So the fact that Mark Thompson, we have one of the most bruising running backs in the league, and we couldn't get the run going, that's what stopped us, not Reed Sinnett, not the wide receivers. Kiki Chisholm is one of the top, he's easily a top 5 receiver in the league right now. Anthony Ratliff-Williams is catching everything thrown to him. And then Justin Hall is Justin Hall, man. Justin Hall is averaging about 9 catches a game since game 1, where he only had 1 touch. He's averaging about 9 touches a game and probably over 75 receiving yards a game. So it's not the offense. It's not the pass game. Let's say it's not the pass game. So the offense had moments, and we, again, can build on that. We have the talent. This roster is not bad. I see people on Facebook. I see people online coming at CJ and specifically the GM. They don't even say Lionel Vitale. People don't even know his name. Now, we have the talent. Lionel put together a fantastic roster. What is happening is the game plan is falling apart. What is happening is we are getting beat in one-on-one situations. It's not because we don't have the talent. So that is a plus. It's a minus that they're not performing the way that they should be, but it is a plus that we do have the talent to win games. Like, I talked to Lionel Vitale before this game, and he said, Ace, hold me to it. This game against the Stallions is going to show us exactly who this team is. And I hope not. He said to hold him to it, but I really don't want to because we didn't look good. So, blah. And then the last one, this one's just, my friend Adam Rodriguez out there on the team got his first sack of the season, and it was a great sack against Adrian Martinez on a big 3rd down in the first quarter. So, Adam, great job, man. That was a fantastic sack. My highlight of the game, easily, and pretty much the only time I jumped up in the crowd and started cheering and yelling because it was just awesome. So let's move on. Let's talk about the quarterback. Every week we talk about Reed Sinnett. This week, he looked much more like a normal UFL quarterback that we see. He had a touchdown. He had an interception. His passer rating was very normal, average. He broke 200 yards. Dude, fun fact. On Prize Picks, Reed Sinnett's line, the under-over, sat at 202.5 yards. I put him at under. 202.5 pass yards because CJ told me we're giving Mark 20 to 25 touches this game. Now, if they had given Mark even 10 touches, probably, Reed Sinnott doesn't hit 203, but he hit a half yard over and I lost money. So thanks, Reed. I almost asked him about it in the post-game presser. Be like, hey, how does it feel to know that you beat your line and I lost $20? But that's fine. And he went 27 for 38. This is by far the most passes that Reed has thrown this season. He sat at about 25 to 28 passes a game. And then this game, I mean, you can tell that we didn't run the ball at all. He had 38 pass attempts. That is up there. You don't see 38 pass attempts a lot in the UFL because, you know, the first and the third quarter have running clocks. It's just a faster game. You don't have as many possessions as you do in college and the NFL. So the fact that he had 38, a little tough. But let's move on to this week. So here is the depth chart for this week. It's a cool couple things. Let's get into more specifically. If you want to see the special teams, though, look at the special teams here because I'm not going to talk about them again. We have Hunter Niswander, JJ Molson, Logan Klusman. Anthony Ratliff-Williams is going to be kick returning because Isaiah Henney back on inactive. He had another tough week. He muffed a kickoff and it went out at the 6. You can't be doing that. In a league where the average starting position is about the 40-yard line, you can't be having the team start at the 6-yard line, man. So he's inactive. It's just a rough season, man. I don't know. It's a mulligan. We're just, it sucks. But Anthony Ratliff-Williams, who is a great kick returner, is going to be back there. Mr. Consistency. And then very interestingly, Kiki Chisholm will be returning punt returns. Kiki, dude, he shows moves, man. Nobody wants to give him the credit. We talked about it before the season when I had Kiki on the show. He said that, you know, because his 40-yard dash on his pro day wasn't that high, wasn't that great, that teams really hold that against him to this day. He pulled a hammy before running the 40-yard dash. The dude is fast and he is quick. For being 6'4", he is juking dudes out of their jock. It's crazy. But let's move on. Here's the defense. We have Chris Odom, Keontae Shad, Glenn Logan, and Adam Rodriguez starting at the defensive line. The defensive line has been a carousel. It's been rotating constantly all year. And honestly, even if they're not the starters right there, Ethan Westbrook's, Ronnie Bingham, Chris Allen, all those dudes are going to play a good amount. You know, they basically split the snaps. So as long as you make the active roster as a defensive lineman, you're going to play. Also impressive that Chris Allen came in last week, immediately played in the game last week. He played a good amount, a lot of downs. This guy coming out of Alabama, a very good outside linebacker, edge type, doesn't fall back into coverage often. But I mean, he looks like a linebacker. The dude, he's tall, he's, you know, muscular, but he's a skinnier build for a defensive lineman. Impressive that he was able to come in and immediately play. He had a bad penalty on neutral zone infraction, but he literally had been on the team for like 4 days. So then we move to the linebackers. Same thing we've been seeing all season. Ruben, Gabe, and JT with Marvin Moody backing them up. This has been what we've seen the entire season. This has been the most consistent thing on the team. It hasn't changed. Those are our 4 linebackers that play every game, 3 starters that play every game. Colby Richardson, Donald Rutledge, and Keandre Thomas, same starters as last week, but a big change. Jamari Brown had appendicitis and had to get surgery at the end of training camp, so was put on IR. He is finally back. He's all healed up. He's just got some cool scars. Chicks dig scars, Jamari. The Simpsons said so. And he is immediately in the starting lineup as a starting free safety. Jamari Brown, he is one of, I think, like 4 players who forego the NFL draft, you know, rookie minicamp. He signed before the season, before the NFL draft, before any of that, when he was 2024 NFL draft eligible, coming out of Gardner-Webb University. And I mean, small school guy, not too much, you know, media coverage for schools that small. Immediately comes in, he's starting. They started Javon Hicks a few games this season. He was a starter. They waived him when Jamari came back off of IR because he has impressed that much. Get that young blood. You're going back to the league after this. You show out in these 5 games, you're going to the league. You're going to get up there, not go back. You're literally your first time. So he could be one of those guys that proves that the UFL can be a stepping stone. If you come out of a smaller school, you know, HBCU, you can go to the UFL, get the play tape, and then move up to the league and get paid. So I would love to see it. And then I just want to point out, dude, Jai Nunn-Liddell, number 27, the dude has been working his ass off this whole season, whole training camp. He has been inactive most games. Last week was his first game active. He's been traveling with the team as an alternate in case somebody gets hurt, in case somebody can't go. And he finally got his shot. And I tell you, his name was constantly called over the intercom. The dude was making plays on special teams. He didn't play much on defense, if at all, but every time he got in on special teams, he made the most of it. Jai, you're killing it, man. I love it, man. All right, let's move to the offense. We have Reed Sinnett. QB2 is going to be Jarrett Garantano. Jarrett is back. His rib injury is healed, apparently, and we could definitely see him. CJ has been consistently talking more about mobile quarterbacks as the season goes on because we are getting murdered by mobile quarterbacks. Adrian Martinez put up the most rushing yards in a game against us. So we might see Jarrett, especially on some drives and some packages, because we need a quarterback who can run the ball. Offensive line looks pretty similar to what it's been all season. They've kind of been moving people around. Avery Genesee moves to tackle, moves to guard. Cam Carter also moves guard to tackle. Cam Carter, like I said earlier, dude should be all USFL. He is playing very, very well. TJ Pledger, again, the starting running back with Mark at running back 2. This has just been what it's been since Mark came back. It's tough to miss half the season and come back and be like, I'm the number 1 starter. You know, you have to give the respect to the guy who's been there since day 1. Then we have Kiki Chisholm, Justin Hall, Anthony Ratliff-Williams. And then we got Reggie Robertson coming in on active. Him and Chris Allen were signed at the same time. And both of them immediately made the active roster. To be able to pick guys up and immediately activate them and have them make a difference, very impressive. Then Cyril Grayson, who is having a great year. Braden Bowman, and then Clint Sig, obviously coming in for that 12 personnel, going to be the big blocking tight end. So I like our offense. I like what I'm seeing. I don't know, man. I don't. This is a really hard game. We played the number 1 team last week. We're going to play the number 2 team, and we're going to play them in their house, which is easily the loudest house. It's a hard week to be optimistic, but who knows? These are the weeks where it's a trap game, right? St. Louis is coming off of a huge emotional win where they were, close to the fourth quarter and then blew the brakes off of the DC Defenders, gave them their first loss in Audi Stadium. So this could be a hangover game for them. Webb said it last night on the thing on Polar Opposites when we were shooting that this is when you want to catch St. Louis. This is when you catch them off guard. And so maybe we upset them. Who knows? Maybe it jumps us back into the playoff race. The USFL is wide open because nobody can pull away other than the Stallions. I think the Stallions need like one more win to clinch. Number 2 spot is still a race. So who knows? We'll see. Rough them up. Drill, baby, drill. I'll see y'all next time.
I'm in the big leagues. Told her don't miss me. Ballin' like Houston. Ayy, feeling like Whitney. I need a bag, bruh.